Padahal ikan dunianya bukan mengajarkan ikan untuk memanjat. Padahal ikan dunianya adalah berenang. Jadi di sekolah ini kita ingin mengajarkan ikan berenang, monyet misalnya memanjat, masing-masing dengan keunikan dan keahliannya masing-masing.
Just to reconfirm, so you are doing individual approach for learning for each student, is it? Or disiapkan pendekatan yang secara individu, tentunya tidak bisa sangat detail, tapi sebisa mungkin disiapkan pendekatan secara personal untuk setiap murid untuk belajar.
And in the beginning, it was a bit difficult to because it means that teachers need to teach in a different way.
Jadi pada saat mulai tentunya sulit karena guru harus melakukan pendekatan yang berbeda ke setiap anak. Sorry, when did you start this approach?
Well, we have now been. This is the 8th year of it.
Ini udah tahun ke-8 ya, udah tahun ke-8. Oke.
So it always goes like we always write a new one after each like 4 years period. So this 2018 spring, the new process will begin, and we will write a new one for next 4 years.
Jadi setiap 4 tahun itu diperbarui. Okay.
And well, this is like that one is the traditional one when the teacher was the one who lectured from the front of the class, but now the situation is a bit different because the students are part of the planning of the learning process, and they get to say something about what they feel is important for them as well. So not only the teacher, and then they also get to choose in which ways they want to learn. So that's also something which is new and different. But actually, then later on it came to the Finnish national curriculum as well. So now the new one that started this August is already based on that same idea.
Jadi murid-murid dan guru itu bersama-sama menyiapkan proses perencanaan pembelajaran, termasuk murid bisa memilih pendekatan pembelajaran seperti apa yang ingin dilakukan oleh murid-murid. Tapi ternyata ini juga sesuai dengan national curriculum yang baru di-launch, sehingga bagi mereka yaitu sesuai dengan misi yang sudah dicanangkan sebelumnya.
Ini boleh ditambah sedikit, itu tadi ditunjukin gambarnya kalau dulu anak-anak belajar hanya sebagai guru hanya menceramahi, lecturing ya, dia memberi mentransfer, tapi kalau sekarang anak justru terlibat seperti Bu Vita bilang, terlibat dalam semua aktivitas pembelajarannya.
And of course, it's a difference for the teacher, but it's also a different aspect for the students. So the students need to be more active, and they need to take more responsibility of their own learning.
Oke, dan anak-anak kita latih untuk bertanggung jawab terhadap pembelajaran yang berlangsung, dan juga mereka harus sangat aktif. Jadi istilahnya tidak dicekokin oleh guru. Jadi mereka harus aktif dan terlibat dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pembelajaran atau goals yang sudah dia set atau bersama-sama guru.
This is something which also takes time.
Dan memang makan waktu, tidak bisa sebentar.
Perlu waktu.
Okay, and here are some of the skills ago, and now some of these are in the a bit ahead.
You are pioneering.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that was something which we are very proud of, that we already came up with things that the national or the Ministry of Education also picked up, because our vice principal Lena Mayanen, she was part of writing the Finnish national curriculum as well, so she took some of our things there. So that's a good thing for us.
Oke, jadi ini framework yang sudah sekolah kami lakukan, dan ini sudah kami buat 8 tahun yang lalu. Dan kami sangat bangga ternyata framework kami ini juga dipertimbangkan sebagai bagian dari pembuatan kurikulum nasional, kurikulum inti nasional. Jadi kami sangat bangga.
And we always have these in mind when we start to work on, for example, these cross-cultural projects, or when we work on some phenomenons that we want to have different subjects included, so that we always pick that which skills are we concentrating on when we work on this theme, for example. So this is a very good tool for us when we start planning these bigger entities when we work together with different subjects.
Sebagai guru kami benar-benar harus mengingat di dalam setiap pembelajaran yang akan berlangsung bahwa kami bekerja dalam banyak budaya, siswanya berasal dari banyak budaya. Kemudian dalam setiap mata pelajaran yang akan kami ajar, kami harus mengambil salah satu atau paling sedikit satu poin dari kerangka ini. Kemudian baru diaplikasikan ke mata pelajaran.
And in the new curriculum, you might have seen these colorful cakes where they have 7 different skills.
Yeah.
So some of them are also now there. So it makes it easy for us to take the new curriculum into our teaching because we are already familiar with it.
Oke, jadi kalau mungkin kita sudah lihat kemarin ada kurikulum inti yang 7 tersebut kita sudah ditunjukkan, dan itu membuat kami sangat senang karena kami sudah terbiasa melakukannya karena sudah 8 tahun kami menjalankan ini.
And when teachers started to change and students started to change and teach and learn in different ways, so the environment needs to change as well. And one of the big things which of course have happened all over the world is that students have mobile phones, they have iPads, they have all kinds of
Tablets.
mobile devices
Gadget.
that they use in their everyday life, and it would be a bit strange if we didn't take them into our school as well, because they use them in their free time as well.
Oke, sebagaimana guru berubah, anak-anak berubah, metode mengajar berubah, lingkungan berubah, semua sudah berubah dibandingkan dengan zaman-zaman dahulu. Dan sekarang juga anak-anak sudah terbiasa dengan gadget, dengan tablet, iPhone atau laptop atau apapun yang mereka punya yang berhubungan dengan teknologi. Jadi agak sedikit aneh kalau tidak kita libatkan teknologi tersebut dalam pembelajaran mereka. Jadi supaya mereka juga senang, jadi kita libatkan teknologi tersebut dalam aktivitas belajar mereka.
Just to answer then, in the class, still the student are not allowed to use the gadget, but you provide the gadget, not the gadget, the tool from school for learning purpose, but they are not allowed to use their gadget because then it distracts the process.
They use their own phones as well.
Oh, they use their own phone.
Yeah.
But how you then are trying to make the student focus on the subject, because sometimes they browse to other things?
That's actually something which is also a learning process. But when we started with this, we decided from the start that we can't tell them not to use different kinds of things. If they want to go to Facebook, if they want to go to Instagram, if they want to WhatsApp, that's okay, because that's what we adults do as well when we are working.
Okay, let me share with you. So, jadi tadi kan karena di sini kan udah pakai toolsnya udah dikasih nih dari sekolah. Tapi ternyata katanya anak-anak juga punya mereka sendiri. Nah, terus saya tanya gimana caranya mereka bisa konsentrasi. Oh ya, nggak apa-apa, mereka kadang pakai WhatsApp, masuk ke Instagram, ke Facebook, karena orang dewasa pun sekarang begitu. Waktu kerja dia pakai seperti ini. Jadi ya kita masih belajar bagaimana untuk supaya bisa menyesuaikan anak-anak dengan proses seperti itu gitu.
Tidak ada larangan ya.
So yeah, that's something new for us. Okay, then we'd like to learn from you how then you ensure that the learning process still can achieve the goals or the objective.
And we also decided that we try to teach them how to use them wisely.
Jadi gurunya mencoba menginfluence, maksudnya supaya teman-teman murid ini memakai gadgetnya secara bijak pada saat proses belajar di kelas.
And in the beginning, of course, the first ones who started, they were like, "Wow, this is amazing! We have this freedom to do." And but soon they learned that we still have the deadline, we still need to do the things I do it sometimes, but I need to work as well. So now, after all these 8 years, I think we have sort of found a very good balance in this one. So the students have learned, because it's such a sort of normal, everyday part of their life. So it's nothing. And when we didn't forbid it, there was no excitement in how I'm going to do this. And the teacher, let's hope that the teacher will see. But when we said that it's okay, then it wasn't fun for them anymore.
Oke. Jadi tentunya pada saat awal agak sulit untuk memberikan kebebasan seperti ini, tetapi along the way, maksudnya setelah itu murid-murid sadar juga, karena kalau terlalu banyak dia lihat ke sosial media, proses pembelajaran dia terganggu dan objektif yang ingin dicapai juga akhirnya terhambat. Nah, pada saat guru bilang oke, nggak dilarang, terserah kamu, tapi kamu tanggung jawab, mereka jadi nggak excited. Oh, ya udah, saya nggak bisa terlalu banyak di sosial media karena nanti kalau nggak pekerjaan saya atau pembelajaran saya terganggu gitu.
So in other words, you would say that you trust the students. So mereka dengan kata lain percaya pada students.
And that will, I think that will make a difference on a long term, in a long term, that they are trusted, and also when they leave our house, I think they will have that okay, the teachers thought that we were good enough to be trusted, and then feel more sort of self-esteem about that, and feel more secure about themselves. Okay, they think that I'm clever enough.
Jadi semakin kami mempercayai anak-anak kami, siswa-siswa kami, semakin siswa juga merasa bahwa manapun mereka pergi, guru percaya sama mereka, dan itu membuat rasa percaya diri pada anak jadi tumbuh, dan si anak jadi santai gitu, tidak terlalu ketakutan terhadap pembelajarannya.
And one of the skills that we think that they need to learn is networking. So that's also something which is one of the skills that we try to teach them as well. So that's also happening through these devices.
Dan salah satu skill yang memang kita ingin ajarkan kepada anak-anak dan kita harapkan anak-anak bisa itu adalah networking. Jadi dengan mereka melakukan interaksi dengan social media, itu juga merupakan salah satu networking skill.
Skill yang disiapkan juga gitu loh, networking skill tadi. Ya.
But although we work a lot on computers and digital material, we still have trips to the forest, and we still do things writing with
Hands-on activities.
So it's sort of a balance that we have both of them.
Jadi walaupun kami sudah mengambil atau melibatkan teknologi dalam pembelajaran anak-anak, tapi kami tetap juga melakukan kunjungan atau langsung ke lapangan seperti di gambar ini. Kita langsung ke hutan, anak-anak juga menggunakan pensil untuk menulis. Jadi kami ingin menciptakan keseimbangan dalam kehidupan mereka, bahwa teknologi dibutuhkan tapi pembelajaran langsung ke tempatnya juga dibutuhkan.
When we work on these computers and laptops and all kinds of mobile devices, the students log into our school network. We have our own cloud, a Dream School cloud, and everything, all the gadgets that we use are in this cloud. So when the students log in, they only need one password for all the tools that they have. And we use the Google, so for example our email is based on Gmail, but so we have the Google environment in our use, and that's one of the sort of mostly used tools that we have. We use Google Classroom and such, but we try to keep it sort of open source, that everything that we use is open source material, and most of it is free. And we also use Linux, which is good in the way that it's open source, and we don't have to pay for licenses to Microsoft, so that's saving us some money. And we can use that money for getting more computers to our school.
Oke, jadi sekolah kami pada saat ujian atau pada saat pembelajaran, anak-anak bisa login langsung ke satu cloud atau awan, di mana sekolah kami menggunakan awan itu sebagai ikonnya Dream School. Kemudian anak-anak bisa masuk dengan satu password ke semua program yang ada di sekolah ini. Kami menggunakan Google dan juga menggunakan Linux yang mana gratis, tidak membayar, sehingga itu bisa menghemat uang kami, dan uang itu kami gunakan untuk membeli lagi gadget seperti komputer, laptop atau tablet untuk sekolah.
Actually, also you have the IT, skill, support to create this kind of program in the Google
Yeah,
Analytics.
we have bought the service from a company which is in Jyväskylä, and they have provided all the sort of backup and the servers and such, and that has been really good because if there's some problem, then the help comes really quickly. But basically, all we need is a functioning open Wi-Fi. So that's so that we have so many stations around the school, because 800 students use the open Wi-Fi that we have here. So that's something that needs to work really well. Other than that, we rarely have problems with computers. And because we use Linux, we don't need very powerful computers. We only need these dumb, we call them dumb computers, because everything is in the cloud, so they don't have to have very hard
Jadi kayak portal
the processes don't have to be very quick or anything. So, because all the things are stored in the cloud.
Cloud.
But who prepared the materials? The teacher. I think the board of teachers are that prepare all the
No, we
materials.
just, well, if we find some application that we find useful, then we let this person who is our IT support, we tell them that, okay, this would be something that the whole school could use. Then they put it here on this sort of a
Portal, like a portal.
yeah, and then everybody can use it with their.
So you just take whatever available and you think that is good, then you
Yep.
put it in that portal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought the teacher prepared the material, so you take it from whatever available and you put it in a cloud, like
No,
for the.
Because we need to have this, so in order to have the one password system, there are some technical stuff that needs to be done. So that's why it has to be like one person who does it.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
can use it.
Yeah.
But then we have this plus sign. So then the students, for example, they choose which ones they put on their sort of table, and some of them have more and some of them have less. But at least in languages, we use a lot of, like, for example, Kahoot, or we use Classroom. Then we have a portfolio for our digital material. We use Today's Meet, we use Padlet, we use all kinds of things. So everything is here so that the students can find them easily.
Jadi di sini kita memang ada IT support yang memang membantu kita. Tadi Ibu bertanya siapa yang mendesain ini, Ibu Revita bertanya siapa yang mendesain ini, apakah ada guru yang mendesain ini. Tapi jawaban dia memang kita punya IT support yang pertama karena untuk bikin server, terus pokoknya kalau ada technical issue dengan si portal atau dengan cloud ini, bantuan langsung datang cepat. Tapi kalau yang ini seluruhnya yang ada di cloud, program-program yang ada di sini memang itu diambil bisa dari mana saja, dan mereka anggap itu penting buat anak-anak sehingga mereka masukkan ke dalam cloud. Nah, si anak boleh memilih. Mungkin murid A bisa punya 10 program, murid B hanya 7. Jadi itu berdasarkan kesenangan mereka yang mana yang akan mereka pilih. Jadi nggak harus sama antara satu murid dengan murid yang lainnya. Iya, betul. Right?
And after you have all the gadgets there, then it's working time. And it's based on interaction, open collaboration. collaboration and face-to-face working. So it's important that we still have the teacher there in the classroom, but it's more communicated. So we talk a lot with the students when they work on their computers. We always go and check what they are doing, make questions, and try to guide them into some kind of direction if there are. If we feel that okay, now they are on a wrong path in a way, although that's also okay to be on a wrong path, but sometimes we need to guide them to different kinds of questions and give them different kinds of perspectives to think about. So that's more like asking questions and
interaction
and coaching in a way that we try to make them achieve better results all the time.
Oke, memang tadi sudah kita bicara tentang teknologi. Memang teknologi itu baik dan juga anak-anak perlu skill networking skill tadi. Tapi kami juga percaya bahwa interaksi, berbicara langsung, berhadapan, membantu mereka, mengarahkan mereka. Memang kadang-kadang mereka jalan ke jalan yang salah. Memang bagus sih kalau mereka ada melakukan kesalahan karena memang dari kesalahan mereka belajar. Tapi kami para guru juga terus mengadakan face to face meeting, maksudnya berbicara dan berinteraksi secara aktif, bukan hanya saja melalui net atau jaringan seperti itu. Jadi mereka percaya bahwa teknologi baik, yang ini juga lebih baik seperti itu.
And when we go to the classrooms to visit the lessons, I hope you dare to go and talk to the kids and ask them questions.
Can we?
Yes.
We may do that. Oke, saya berharap nanti Ibu Bapak apabila berkunjung ke dalam kelas boleh langsung melihat mereka dan berbicara dengan mereka, bahkan bertanya pertanyaan kepada mereka. Saya tadi bertanya apa boleh, beliau bilang boleh sekali.
Because they are the experts. Teachers can talk whatever here, but the students will tell you the truth. So feel free to do that, and it's also okay to take photos. And you will see that they quite often sit in groups of 2 or 3 students and work together, and that's actually a very good way to learn that they talk with each other in the group, and then they test their ideas on the others, and if they don't agree, then they come and ask the teacher and ask for help, and it's a different kind of process. So as the teacher has minimized the time she or he talks in the classroom, it's more of the sort of hands-on working.
Oke, jadi memang kita dibolehkan langsung bertanya karena memang siswa adalah orang ahlinya ya. Kalau guru boleh ngomong apa saja, boleh dengan program dan ide apa saja, tapi memang yang melakukan dan yang merasakannya itu adalah siswa. Jadi kita boleh bertanya bagaimana perasaannya langsung kepada siswa, dan nanti teman-teman juga akan melihat bahwa di kelas gurunya nggak banyak ngomong. Memang gurunya dimaksudkan supaya sedikit bicara, tapi anak-anak yang bekerja di dalam grup. Metode belajar dalam grup ini sangat baik menurut mereka karena akan banyak interaksi yang terjadi di dalam grup. Apabila si murid A tidak mengerti, bisa langsung bertanya ke murid B, atau si murid C bisa memberikan ide-ide yang cemerlang, atau kalau mereka memang sudah buntu, nanti kemudian mereka akan minta bantuan dari guru. Jadi guru di dalam kelas memang sedikit berbicara, anak-anaknya lebih aktif melakukan proses pembelajaran.
Can I ask on this process? Because I can imagine not every child or student are proactive to engage in the group. So, what is the role of the teacher in that circumstances?
Well, the teacher is the one who gives the guidelines of what we are. For example, in the beginning of the lesson, the students need to know what the goals are for the lesson. And when the students know that, they are free to start working on the topic of the day. So it's more like a facilitator who tells sort of what's happening today, and then sees that everything happens on time and so on. And it's actually you need to tolerate in insecurity in the way that anything can happen. So you need to be prepared for anything during the lesson. So that's something, because I think most teachers want to have control over things, but in this system you need to be a bit more relaxed in the way that you're open to all kinds of things that might happen during the lesson.
But then in the way, then the student may not achieve the same goal within the same time.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in that case, then the student will spend, teacher will spend more time to coach, if that's the way you explained before, to ensure that in that particular period perhaps then the goal can be achieved. Jadi tadi saya tanya begini, kan kalau karena yang harus aktif adalah murid, kan gak semua murid proaktif, ada yang pendiam. Nah, tapi dia bilang gini, jadi di awal pembelajaran murid itu perlu memahami dan mengerti goal apa yang mau dicapai dari proses pembelajaran ini. Nah, tentunya nanti tadi saya tanya, jadi berarti goal itu bisa aja dicapainya di waktu yang berbeda karena tiap anak kemampuannya berbeda-beda. Nah, makanya di situ adalah peran guru untuk mengcoach, bukan mengajari tapi coaching. Jadi dia kalau coach itu kan to get the best out of it. Jadi maksimumkan potensi di masing-masing murid. Nah, nanti pada saat yang berbeda lah pencapaian dari goal itu bisa dicapai oleh setiap murid gitu. Jadi berarti
guru akan memberikan extra hours atau extra jam untuk membantu siswa-siswa yang pencapaiannya belum sama dengan siswa yang lainnya.
But what would be at the end of the year? Because then the student will then need to go into the next group or the next class. But the achievement hasn't been met.
Well, our school here is divided into 5 blocks. Each block is about 7 weeks. And after each block, or during that, for example, now we are in the transition of the first and second. So on Monday, a new block will start in our school. So at this point, a lot of teachers have evaluation discussions with their students. So they talk together and see what kind of goals they have achieved and which might be still open and needs to be worked on more. So this is a sort of a situation where we know that where everybody are. So that makes it easier for us to know that the whole year is secured in the way, because we do 4 times we have these discussions during the year with the students.
How many logs did you say within 1 year?
Sorry?
7. How many logs? 7.
There are like 5 blocks, and each is 7 weeks.
Okay. 5
So
blocks.
5 blocks, each block is 7 weeks.
Yes.
And at the end of 7 weeks, roughly, then you have one-to-one discussion to identify the gap or whether the goal has been achieved, and then at the end to secure that the whole year we call material or session objective can be met or not. But is there any student that cannot continue to another class and stay another year?
That's very rare. We always want to make sure by Christmas that everybody is moving forward.
Oke, jadi tadi ada 5 blok yang di dalam setahun ya. Nah, satu blok itu 7 minggu. Kemudian setiap akhir sesi 7 minggu itu dilakukan evaluasi atau diskusi one to one, termasuk kalau ada gap dan sebagainya. Kemudian bagaimana untuk supaya semua goals bisa di-achieve. Jadi roughly kira-kira 4 kali dalam setahun dilakukan diskusi. Tadi saya tanya ada yang tinggal kelas nggak? Jarang sekali. Biasanya semuanya naik kelas gitu.
Kami harus memastikan semua anak-anak mencapai goalnya sehingga dia bisa move ke kelas berikutnya.
And we don't have any big tests for our students at the end of the school year. So that's also something which is a bit different than in some other European countries might have that. But in Finland we don't have any big sort of national tests or anything like that in the secondary school. But in upper secondary school they do have.
Di secondary school ini nggak ada ulangan atau ujian akhir tahun gitu, nggak ada. Yeah. But how then you evaluate? Then you put you do not put the score, you put the narrative.
Yeah, we evaluate more the process of the work, for example, how they work during the lesson. So that's the majority of our evaluation is based on that. So language teachers might have word tests or smaller grammar tests also, but less and less. So the working process is the one that is evaluated, how well they work during the process of, for example, if we work on well, let's say we have a Europe project, which is something which is a multi-class activity. So then there are different goals that they will be evaluated on that, how well they did. And then at the end of the school year, they will get a number. So we have from 4 to 10 is our numbers, but now with the new curriculum, we have, for example, classes 1 to 4, we only have written evaluation, and then from 5 classes 5 to 9, then they will have the end number. So at the end of the school year, but during the during the school year, they will only get like how to say written
The narrative.
The narration.
But at the end, still there is score between 4 to 10. But that also the score, it doesn't come from the written test, but it comes from the process and how they interact, how they do the work or the learning, etc. Jadi tadi gini, tetap aja sih di akhir tahun ada skornya dari 4 sampai 10. Tapi lebih ke prosesnya. Jadi bagaimana mereka mengerjakan tugas-tugas yang diberikan, dan tugas-tugas itu bisa dalam grup gitu, misalkan interaksinya atau keseriusannya, itu yang dibikin untuk nilai. So the score relate to the skills and competency that you build. Oke, jadi skornya itu relate ke yang tadi, ada kompetensi sama skills.
authentic assessment.
Kayak gitu ya mungkin namanya.
Excuse me, Mario. There's one question from Edo. He asked that is there any school orientation before the children go into the start the school?
Not in the way, because all the subject teachers will tell at the beginning of the school year, they will tell the students that how she or he teaches and how the students will learn in their classes. So that would be sort of a
Little orientation.
orientation, yeah.
But does it apply for the beginner? I mean, like for the first grade students?
Well, the first year students, they have because they have their sort of class teacher who will follow them many years. So it's a bit different than here on the secondary school, because they have a lot of teachers.
Yeah.
So they will get many talks from the teachers.
Oke. Tadi Edo bertanya apakah ada orientasi atau MOS seperti itu ya di sekolah-sekolah di Finland. Kemudian beliau menjawab tidak seperti orientasi yang sebagaimana besar, tapi hanya guru-guru, setiap guru, karena di sini ada banyak guru, jadi guru-gurunya memperkenalkan diri dan memperkenalkan mata pelajaran apa yang akan diajarkan, bagaimana dia belajar dan bagaimana siswa akan belajar. Jadi lebih kepada friendly, interaktif lah ya, interaktif yang ramah, interaksi yang ramah sekali sehingga anak-anak tahu apa yang akan mereka lakukan. Kemudian saya bertanya apakah itu berlaku untuk anak-anak kelas 1 yang berusia 7 tahun. Beliau bilang kalau anak kelas 1 itu ada kelas teachernya atau wali kelasnya. Jadi selama 1 tahun itu wali kelas yang akan terus memegang kendali untuk anak kelas 1. Tapi kalau untuk anak secondary mungkin karena banyak gurunya, banyak pelajarannya, jadi masing-masing guru seperti memperkenalkan diri dan menjelaskan penjelasan seperti apa sih kelas ini. Jadi tidak jadi orientasinya mungkin tidak sama dengan kita. Ya, Mario?
Yeah. And then in order to make the motivation, that they would have the inner motivation, not just the outer motivation that their parents might give them some money because they did well at school or something like that, but we really hope that they find their inner motivation. So that's why we try to already know, or they have heard somewhere something that they can sort of
Yeah.
grasp and then take into their. So make it meaningful for them, so that, for example, when I have a word test in English, I can tell them that, okay, well, this is the words that we have been studying, around, let's say, 50 words there in the word list, and I can say, pick 20 of them that you think is important that they picked, which, of course, when they do well, they have picked the ones that they wanted to learn out of the 50. They usually do very well, and that again motivates them because they got good results. So we try to find this balance between sort of making the learning joyful, but then trying
Yeah.
to keep it a bit strict as well, because there are some rules that they need to learn, but they can decide a little bit themselves, and that again gives them this feeling that, okay, the teacher trusts me, and then they always surprise me, because when I give them the word test with all the 50 words so that they can write the one that they chose, they usually write all of them.
Oke, wow. Oke, jadi ini adalah kerangka bagaimana mereka mengajarkan anak-anak mereka. Jadi mereka ingin anak-anak itu punya motivasi sendiri dari dalam, bukan dari luar. Jadi bukan mereka ingin anak-anak itu termotivasi untuk belajar karena dia pengen belajar. Jadi bukan karena motivasi dari orang tua. Misalnya orang tuanya bilang, oke, kalau kamu if you do it well at school, kalau belajarnya bagus di sekolah, I will give you money, akan dikasih uang. Jadi itu seperti motivasi yang datang dari luar, eksternal gitu. Nah, ini dia mau yang dari dalam, sehingga anak-anak bebas memilih apa saja yang dia rasa berdasarkan pengalaman dia sendiri. Jadi bisa dicomot dari pengalaman dia sendiri, ini sedikit, dan dia masukkan dalam pembelajarannya. Jadi semua bermakna untuk dia. Jadi dia bisa tahu, oh ini meaningful sekali buat saya karena ini berdasarkan pengalaman saya. Seperti saya, contohnya pada saat mengajarkan bahasa Inggris, pada saat itu saya memberikan 50 kata untuk mereka, dan saya minta mereka untuk memilih 15 saja kata dari kata-kata tersebut. Mereka boleh memilih kata mana saja, dan memang kebanyakan anak-anak memilih kata-kata yang sudah mereka tahu, dan ada juga yang memilih kata-kata yang belum mereka tahu dan mereka ingin tahu. Dan kemudian sehingga itu menciptakan kesenangan belajar, tidak ada paksaan-paksaan yang membuat mereka under pressure. Dan setelah dites kecil-kecilan ya di akhir kelas misalnya, pada saat guru meminta menulis semua kata yang sudah dipilih, dan dia bisa menuliskan semua katanya.
Jadi maksudnya gini, tadinya oke, kamu ngerjainnya 20 aja. Anak-anak ngerjainnya 50 karena mereka semangat untuk tahu semuanya gitu. Ya.
In the beginning we had a little bit of problems with parents.
With parents.
Yes, because the parents have had a different kind of school than they
Yeah. They come from the old school.
Ages ago.
Selalu gitu.
Oke, jadi masalahnya itu selalu memang mungkin awalnya kami sedikit bermasalah dengan parents atau orang tua karena mereka tidak bersekolah dengan sekolah sistem seperti ini gitu. Jadi mungkin yang dulu kan konvensional.
And they come to understand, why don't they have homework? Why don't they have tests?
Shame of Indonesia.
Orang tuanya nggak ngerti kenapa kok nggak ada PR, nggak ada tes.
Does that happen here too? I mean, I thought it was
Sama
in
kayak
Asia.
Indonesia.
It was only in the Asia.
Okay,
But
well,
it-
it's easier.
Kenapa ada
And,
PR?
but I think now that, because we have had parental evenings where we have told about this new system, how we teach and how the school has changed. So now I think the situation is quite good.
Oke, jadi kami selalu ada meeting-meeting yang kami lakukan di sore hari dengan orang tua, dan kami mencoba menjelaskan cara kerja di sekolah kita ini. Di awal-awal mungkin ada sedikit masalah, tapi sepertinya sekarang orang tua sudah mulai memahaminya dan sudah mulai mengerti dan sudah membaiklah perasaannya dibandingkan dengan awal-awal dulu.
And each year, I, as a foreign teacher, I meet the parents of my own class in a meeting where there's me and the parents and then the
Students. Ya, nah jadi setahun sekali sebagai class teacher saya mengadakan pertemuan dengan orang tua dan si anak untuk membicarakan proses apa yang sudah dia lalui. Tapi selalu ada guru, orang tua dan anak.
So it's the three of the parties, if I may say that,
Students,
meet
teacher, parents.
every year and openly discuss on the achievement or the things that need to be improved.
Did you see any parents' interest in the discussion?
Yeah, they actually we got good feedback from the parents as well, because they say that the students have told them more about school than they sort of, if they have had older sisters or brothers. So they think that the ones that are in school now, they tell more about the things that they do here because they are more excited about things that they do at school.
Okay.
So that's perhaps a change that has happened, that the older students who have already left our schools, so they might have had different kind of view of how to study here.
So you've got sort of free advertisement.
Yeah.
Oke, jadi saya bertanya tadi di dalam diskusi apa saja yang mereka bahas dan adakah ketertarikan orang tua terhadap sekolah, atau kemudian beliau menjawab iya, mereka sangat open dan sangat tertarik dengan sekolah, bahkan kalau ada adik-adiknya yang belum sekolah di sini, mereka malah bercerita, si siswa banyak bercerita tentang sekolah, jadi sekolah kami keren banget gitu, sehingga adik-adiknya juga akan ikut bersekolah di kami, jadi itu sebagai iklan gratis seperti itu.
So how about how do you deal with the teachers as well, because new programs, teachers also need to adjust, like you mentioned before, like parents, they are not used to these new programs. Even the teachers, they also like the product of the old systems, right? So
Well, we have had a very good system in the way that all the teachers have had extra sort of schooling. Well, education. They have also been educated by the municipality, so we are allowed to go on different kinds of. I'm a language teacher. I can choose.
So you mean in-service training for the teachers?
Yeah.
So the municipality or the school provide the teachers with the training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's also the older teachers in our building. They adapted really well, I think, to this system as well. So we had, well, of course, a lot of them have retired already here, and the new staff that recruited to our school always they already bear this system that we have in mind. So when they interview new teachers, they tell them that, okay, this is the way we work here, so how well do you suit in this system? And then we pick the kinds of teachers that are sort of been working on the same idea.
so how long does it take to everyone to really fully committed with it?
I think the first 4-year period was a sort of a struggle time for some. And then, of course, there are always the sort of minority that is like, wow, this is great, and they
The pros
get
and the
excited,
contrast.
they get
The pros and
excited,
cons.
then because they got excited, then perhaps some others as well.
Get confused.
Yeah. so I think it was about 4 years, and we had in the beginning we had a very strong opposition against this new system.
Suppose so.
But none of them left. They are still here. They are working in the
Okay.
new system. So in a way, but it took some time, and it was actually good that we had those discussions, because then it became clearer to the teacher as well that, okay, this is what the future program is about, and because everybody of us took part in writing it, so it wasn't something that came from the chiefs.
Okay.
So
So everyone gets
everyone-
involved.
Yeah, everyone was involved. So that was one thing which made it easy for us to commit to that paper.
So just to repeat, so then when you start you aim. Jadi waktu dia bilang 4 tahun itu masa transisi untuk bisa, tentunya guru-gurunya ada yang bisa, ada yang enggak, tapi semuanya nggak nggak ada yang resign, tetap stay di sini. Tapi tadi saya tanya waktu awal itu dilibatkan semua sih untuk menyiapkan tadi misi dan semuanya itu. Jadi nggak cuma ini satu orang gitu, sehingga ownership-nya ada di semua.
Walaupun ada pro dan kontra di dalam sekolah, bahkan ada yang menolak juga, tapi yang menolak juga masih ada di sekolah ini, masih belum nggak resign juga, nggak keluar. Dan mungkin tadi Olan bertanya bagaimana guru bisa bekerja dengan sistem yang baru, sementara mereka dulu belajar dengan sistem yang lama gitu. Jadi nggak semua guru mungkin bisa menerima. Itu pertanyaan Olan. Lalu jawaban Mario itu adalah kita menyediakan training terus untuk para guru seperti yang kita dapat kemarin, sehingga guru itu memang agak sulit untuk move on pertama-tama ya, mungkin masih terbawa-bawa cerita lama gitu, tapi pelan-pelan. Olan juga tanya tadi, Bu Revita juga bilang ada 4 tahun waktu di mana mereka transisi lah untuk sistem baru.
Can I ask a question? Yes. Yeah. So what is the more relaxed for the students? Students asked to be more active and teacher commit as a facilitator. Yes. As a indicator, for example, how many students are able to enter the university? That's, I think, one of the indicator to see that this system is more successful than the previous system.
I think that we actually don't have any results of that yet, because we have been the first school in Finland who started with this one, and now that many of the ideas that we have is in the new curriculum, which started this August. So we will see the results later on. So we know that our students from the 9th grade who leave the building, they all got into some second education. So they went to upper secondary school, or they went to vocational school or something. So none of our 106 students who left last year, none of them are hanging around somewhere without studying. So all of them went to some kind of school to continue, and some of them probably will enter university or
Polytechnic. Ya, jadi tadi Ibu Evi bertanya ada berapakah adakah angka atau hasil yang penting sekali yang dilihat oleh sekolah, karena kita lihat maksudnya sekolahnya santai, anak-anak harus aktif, guru hanya fasilitator, tidak mengajar banyak. Seberapa jauhkah si anak-anak bisa masuk universitas? Kemudian beliau menjawab, memang kita tidak ada angka atau harus ada target yang seperti apa, tapi kami memastikan bahwa semua anak-anak kami tahun lalu tidak ada yang tidak masuk ke secondary upper education, dan tidak ada anak kami yang bergelantungan, maksudnya tidak sekolah, hanging around, itu tidak ada. Kami pastikan itu semuanya masuk, ada ke vocational school, ada yang ke upper secondary education, dan kemudian ada yang beberapa melanjutkan ke university. Jadi kami harus memastikan bahwa tidak ada satupun, none of them, tidak ada satupun dari mereka yang tidak menyambung pendidikan.
That's great.
Back to the parents. Do they have the parents association or something like that?
sorry.
The parents
Parents
association or
The
something?
board,
Committee
committee, yeah.
The
Yeah, we
committee.
do have that, and they are
in Indonesia.
because they always approve our future program, and they also approve our.
Yeah, that's my next question. So how far you involve the parents association in creating the system or something?
Because most of the parents do complaints to school, you know what I mean? I mean, like, they're feeling like the school does not do enough for the kids, so they try to complain this and that. I mean, like, does that happen? How?
Well, not at least here in Kaupang, and I don't know about other municipalities. But here we actually don't have a very active parents association. So we have I think the Board of Education in the municipality is more interested than the parents.
Tidak ada. Kalau kita komite
Asosiasi,
sekolah ya,
komite
komite
nggak ada,
ya,
komite.
yang isinya adalah orang-orang tua, yang kebanyakan mungkin orang tua di tempat kita mengajukan komplain atau ya banyak hal lah yang mereka pusingkan seperti itu. Tapi kalau di sini saya belum pernah mendengarkan ada sejenis komite seperti itu gitu ya, karena di municipality itu di kotanya tadi ini kotanya dengan 9.000 penduduk juga yang selalu memberi training untuk guru dan selalu berhubungan terus dengan orang tua, dan orang tua sangat happy sekarang dengan sistem yang mereka buat. Jadi makanya dia jawabnya agak gitu, dia kayaknya agak bingung ya, nggak pernah ada yang terjadi kayak gitu gitu, nggak dapet poinnya gitu. Good to know, Mario.
Yeah, and we have the most educated parents in Finland living here in Gambia.
Wow, that's a very important thing. Jadi di sini, di tempat kami tinggal ini, hampir semua orang tuanya itu well educated, berpendidikan baik. Jadi itu memudahkan kami.
Daerah elit.
Daerah apa ya kalau di kita?
Explaining this, which is in Finnish.
Okay, what does that say?
That is, because now we have been talking about the students a lot, so a little bit about how the school works. And the colorful things there, 7th, 8th, and 9th, there are teams, and all the teachers in our school belong to one of these teams. And for example, I'm in the 9th grader team because I'm a form teacher for a 9th class. And next year I will be back in 7th, so I will start a new class, and I followed that class for 3 years.
Nah, kalau bisa dilihat ini memang dalam bahasa Finland ada kelas 7, kelas 8, kelas 9, dan itu guru-gurunya per tim. Untuk sementara saya berada di tim guru kelas 9 karena saya memegang kelas, saya adalah wali kelas anak kelas 9. Kemudian tahun depan saya akan turun lagi ke kelas 7, ikut dengan guru-guru di tim kelas 7, kemudian begitu seterusnya dan mengulang lagi.
Jadi ngikutin murid ya?
Iya.
So you follow
Follow
the
the-
grade. You follow the grade when you now you are at the 9th grade, but 2 years ago you were
You
at
were in the
7.
seventh, yeah.
Then you follow the 8. So then you follow the same student, same class.
We get to know them quite well here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Team, and then we have units which concentrate on the well-being of the students, and then the involvement of things should be here in school. And they also have one meeting every block where the student can come to the board meeting with the teachers and tell us what they have been talking about in their meetings and so on. So there's a collaboration between those two as well.
So this organization is within school.
Yes.
Okay.
Jadi di dalam sekolah ada beberapa badan lah ya, organisasi seperti Mario itu adalah dalam Board of International, jadi dia dalam organisasi internasional. Kemudian ada Ibu Wakil Kepala Sekolah Lena, itu ada di bidang atau badan pedagogi. Terus ada badan-badan lain yang bekerja, yang setiap blok kami melakukan meeting, dan di dalam meeting-meeting itu kami juga melibatkan siswa untuk datang dan berbicara apa yang sudah proses-proses apa yang mereka lalui, proses pembelajaran, berbicara dengan kami, sehingga setiap pertimbangan yang kita ambil berdasarkan dari si siswa juga, masukan dari si siswa. Apa ya, tahu apa yang terjadi di dalam sekolah, pembicaraan anak-anak seperti itu, karena ada meeting-meeting yang dilakukan dengan anak-anak, sehingga itu sebenarnya mempermudah mereka. How frequent do you do the meeting again?
For example, with
In every block, did you say?
with the team, we meet 2 times in a block.
Okay, so
During
within
this 7-week period, we have 2.
2 minggu. Oke, di dalam 7 minggu atau 1 blok itu tadi kami mengadakan 2 kali meeting dengan guru. And with the children, with the students,
The students, they also meet once in a
block. Oke, dengan anak-anak atau siswa kami bertemu 1 kali dalam 1 blok. 1 blok itu tadi 7 minggu.